Hi guys, it's Graham again and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with part 2 of my March reading wrap up and also a book that I forgot to show you in my part 1 March reading wrap up. I don't know how I managed to do that, but I did. So yeah, I think on the day that I filmed the previous video I had just finished night shift, so I was fairly knackered, I was fairly tired. As you probably saw from the outtakes of the previous video, I got rather annoyed with myself for no apparent reason. But anyway, so the book that I missed out from my first reading wrap up was A Series of Unfortunate Events, The Bad Beginning by Lemony Snicket. I loved this. This was absolutely brilliant. It's the first in a series of 13 books, as we probably all know, and it's a group of 3 siblings who become orphans, and their only living family member is a man called Count Olaf, who is a terrible actor, has his own troupe of acting friends who are evildoers and bad people, and he is determined that he will marry Violet, who is one of the children. She's 14 years old and he is clearly very much older, and that rather distressed me slightly. But apart from that, this was really good. It was fun, it was fast-paced, it was witty, it was dark, it was just brilliant and I loved it. So I'm not going to do these in any particular order, the rest of the books. So yeah, I will just start. So the next book I read was Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. Now I read this for Hannah Tay's Patreon book club from March, and I enjoyed this, but I didn't love it, which I felt quite upset by because I really enjoyed Pride and Prejudice when I read that a few years ago. I just felt, obviously this was written as a sort of pastiche of the societal norms of the day of when it was written, but it was just, I don't know, it just I don't know, I still don't know what my feelings are about this. It's clearly written at 2 separate times in Jane Austen's life. The first part it feels like it was written by a much younger Jane Austen, whereas the second part kind of feels like it was written later. This was published posthumously after Jane Austen passed away, and it just, for me, I don't feel that it delivered what it said it was going to. It promised that it was going to be a spooky house and a ghost story. At least that's what I took from what it said it was going to be. And for me, it didn't deliver that. I don't know. I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. Would I read it again? Probably not. So yeah, that's Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. The next one that I read was this tiny little thing called The Laying On of Hands by Bennett. I adored this. This was absolutely incredible. Bennett's writing is just, it's outstanding. He is easily one of the best writers of the last 50 years. Just brilliant. My favourite books by him are Uncommon Reader. It's about the Queen. She's in Buckingham Palace one day, a mobile library comes and parks outside. She becomes a voracious reader and forgets her constitutional duties. And then obviously the Lady in the Van, which is also a very good book and a brilliant film starring Dame Maggie Smith. The Laying On of Hands tells the story of a man who has died, and we are introduced to the people who knew him, rather personally knew him. As the story unfolds, you find out that he was involved more in a kind of sexual manner with the guests at his funeral. Although he's already been buried, this is kind of like a memorial service for him, and it's got the good and the great of London society are there, from TV stars, soap opera stars, journalists, peers of the realm, I think. I might be wrong, but anyway. So yeah, they are all worried that Clive, who is the man that has passed away, he was a masseuse, so he touched them up. They're all worried that because of the lifestyle that he led, he had sexual partners in men as well as women. They're all worried that he has, or had, and died of AIDS. It later transpires that wasn't the case, but you can feel the tension, you can feel the panic, and it's just so deliciously dark. Alan Bennett deals with the situation in a really quite unassuming kind of way, I feel. He doesn't play into the fear of AIDS or HIV. He almost makes light of it, and takes the mick out of the people who are fearing that they now have this terrible disease. It's gloriously dark. The ending was a bit strange. I didn't understand. There's a young guy at the funeral ceremony memorial thingy, and he ends up the story ends, and basically he and the priest, who also had a thing with Clive, he and the priest are about to do stuff. But anyway, yeah. So The Laying On of Hands by Alan Bennett, a gloriously dark little tale, and I loved it. And this cute little book as well. So the next book that I read in March was Another Brooklyn by Jacqueline Woodson. Now, this had languished on my shelf for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, and I'd always looked at it and thought, do I want to? I'm not sure. And I wish I'd read it sooner, because I really thoroughly enjoyed it. It tells the story of 4 girls who were friends in the 70s in Brooklyn, New York, and they're young black women, and the difficulties growing up at that time, being a black female, from unwanted sexual attention, religious differences, academic differences. It was just so beautifully written, almost poetic, and I absolutely loved it. It was a brilliant book, and if you haven't read this, I thoroughly recommend that you do, because you won't be disappointed. It's just so beautifully written, and you almost feel like you're a part of the story, because it just, for me, it dragged me in, it pulled me right in, and I thought it was brilliant. So yeah, Another Brooklyn by Jacqueline Woodson. And the last book that I read in March was a tiny little book, and it was one of the quick reads, and it was sorry, I keep saying Too Good to Be True by Cleeves. And this was a little murder mystery set in the Scottish borders. I believe that this is part of a series, and it's based on, well, I think the BBC One series Shetland is based on the books, and it features the detective Jimmy Perez. He is called upon by his ex-wife to come down and discover who has murdered, or why this person died, or how this person died. A young female teacher who was supposedly, as rumours have suggested, that she was having an affair with Jimmy Perez's ex-wife's current husband. Does that make sense? It turns out that they haven't been having an affair, but something a bit deeper is going on. This is very worth the read. It's brilliant. I felt that obviously because this was quite a small book, the ending, I figured it out sort of about 3/4 of the way through. I got it, and I was like, that's what's going on. But it didn't spoil it for me. I really enjoyed it, and it's a tiny little book. It took me about an hour and a half to read, because the news was on in the background, and yeah, we all know what's been going on in the news recently. But yeah, if you get a chance to read this, pick this up. It's a very good book to read, and yeah, so that is what I read in March. And I can't believe that in my first video I missed out a whole book. We'll put it down to the fact that I was knackered from night shift. But yeah, so thank you so much for watching. Whatever you're doing, I sincerely hope you enjoy doing it, because these are trying times. Whatever you're reading, I hope you love it. Stay fabulous, be amazing, be yourself, stay indoors, wash your hands, keep your distance from people, and I will see you again soon for another video. Bye bye. Hi guys, it's Graham again, and welcome back to my channel.